Hey everyone, Shamrocked here. This is part 2 of my Restoration Shaman 101 guide where I will be going over the general healing rotation of our most commonly used abilities. Basically a how-to heal for Resto Shaman beginners. I do apologize as I lied in part 1 when I said that the next video would be going over the spec talent tree. After some thought, I figured it would be more beneficial to go over the general cadence, the ebb and flow if you will, of Restoration Shaman healing so that when we do discuss the spec talents and the intricate synergies between them, it will hopefully make a bit more sense. The next video will focus on our major cooldowns. For anyone that missed part 1 and is new to my channel, my name is Shamrocked and I have been playing Restoration Shaman basically forever. I started playing Mythic Plus in Season 1 of Dragonflight and was able to secure title for Season 1, Season 3, and Season 4, all mostly through pugging. I've made guides for most of the bosses in Dragonflight and will hopefully continue to do so going into the next expansion. If you're looking to push high-end Mythic Plus content in the War Within, hopefully some of the tips and strategies I've picked up will help you reach your goals. And with that out of the way, let's begin. We can't talk about Restoration Shaman without talking about Riptide and Tidal Waves. Riptide is a small and cheap instant heal that leaves an 18-second heal over time on the target. Additionally, casting Riptide will buff yourself with 2 charges of Tidal Waves. Tidal Waves will reduce the cast time of your next chain heal or healing wave by 20%, or it will increase the critical chance of your next healing surge by 30%. Think of Riptide and Tidal Waves as our bread and butter, the standard frame from which Restoration Shaman healing has been designed around for quite some time, a combination that really drives the ebb and flow of our standard healing. In general, Riptide should be cast almost on cooldown so that your healing waves, healing surges, and chain heals are always buffed by tidal waves. Some advice from a longtime Resto Shaman player: don't worry too much about tracking tidal waves and weaving spells. As you learn to play the spec, this will come naturally to you just by nature of how we heal our group. Since Riptide has a cooldown, you cannot spam it, meaning after every 1 or 2 Riptides you will have to cast something else naturally anyways, ergo consuming the tidal waves buffs. And since Riptide has a short cooldown, it will always be up shortly after you have expended your tidal waves, creating a nice little self-sustaining feedback loop. I would also like to mention that all allies with Riptide on them will receive 15% increased healing from your other standard heals via the Deluge talent, greatly enhancing your overall kit. That brings us to Healing Wave and Healing Surge. Healing Wave is your slow and cheap single target heal, while Healing Surge is your fast and expensive single target heal. Tidal Waves makes each spell a little bit more interesting, decreasing the cast time of Healing Wave and increasing the critical hit chance of Healing Surge. Think of it this way: if you are in a situation where someone needs healing but they are not in danger of immediately dying from another incoming ability, this is the perfect time to hit them with a Healing Wave. On the other hand, if someone is injured and needs immediate assistance as more damage is incoming, Healing Surge is the quickest way to get it done, and will likely do more healing than Healing Wave due to the increased crit chance from tidal waves. In general, you should be using both of these spells as needed. Although, Healing Surge is better in general, it is expensive and spamming it will likely cause you to have mana issues down the road, so Healing Wave must be used as well. Next, we have the pillar of the Restoration Shaman spec, Chain Heal. Chain Heal is your area of effect group heal and has several talents in the tree that buff its effectiveness. Chain Heal can be cast at an initial target and will then jump to 4 additional targets doing decreased healing with each jump. When playing Chain Heal, it is important to take the Tidebringer talent, the Flow of the Tides or Ancestral Reach talent, and the High Tide talent. Tidebringer will make your chain heals fast and vastly increase the range of the jumps, so that you can heal people who are far away. Flow of the Tides, or Ancestral Reach, is a general overall buff to chain heal. The difference is that Flow of the Tides provides a 30% chain heal buff, while Reach provides an 8% buff. The drawback for Flow of the Tides, however, is that in order to benefit from the buff, you must cast Chain Heal at a player who already has Riptide on them. The Chain Heal will consume the Riptide off of that player and be buffed by 30%. Note that it will not consume Riptide on other people it hits, only the initial target. Currently, with the other talents we take right now, I suggest playing with Flow of the Tides. However, note that Flow of the Tides is the much more difficult talent to use and manage properly, so Ancestral Reach might be better if you are a new player trying to learn the ropes. And finally, we have the ultimate chain heal buff talent, High Tide. After spending 100,000 mana using any abilities, you will gain 2 stacks of High Tide. High Tide will increase the healing of your next chain heal by 20%, and the healing will not reduce with each jump. Note that this buff will stack with the Ancestral Reach or Flow of the Tides buff. When combined with Tidebringer, which is the talent we first talked about, all 3 of these talents turn Chain Heal into an immensely powerful ability. Learning how to utilize Chain Heal to its maximum potential will turn you into a healing powerhouse, able to meet any challenge your group faces. A word of warning, however, Chain Heal is very mana intensive. If you get into the habit of spamming Chain Heal, especially without utilizing High Tide or Flow of the Tides, you will likely run into big mana issues, one of the most common mistakes that new shamans make. Don't think of Chain Heal as your main heal. Think of it as a powerful small cooldown to be used as needed and with as many buffs as possible to ensure that you are getting the full value out of the large mana cost. Now let's talk about Healing Rain. Healing Rain is a set and forget ability that puts a large blue circle on the ground that does a modest amount of healing over time to the people inside of it. More importantly, people standing in Healing Rain will receive 15% more healing from your other standard spells through the Deluge buff. Additionally, when talented into Tidewaters, Healing Rain will also provide an instant heal when used to all players with Riptide. To sweeten the deal, Healing Rain also allows for the Downpour ability to be cast when talented, which is an instant heal ability that increases the health of all targets it hits. Although not as powerful as some of our other abilities, Healing Rain is a crucial part of our healing kit and should be used essentially on cooldown when you know at least a few group members will be able to stand in it for the majority of its duration. When Acid Rain is talented, Healing Rain is also the ability that will do the most passive DPS to large groups of enemies. Next, one of my personal favorites, we have the Primordial Wave ability. Primordial Wave is essentially a Riptide that causes your next Healing Wave cast to cleave at 40% effectiveness on all allies with Riptide already on them. Think of this as your second AoE group heal next to Chain Heal. It is important to note that Primordial Wave lasts 15 seconds as a buff, meaning you have 15 seconds to cast Healing Wave in order to get the AoE cleaves. This means that you can cast Primordial Wave early in anticipation of damage coming out, making it more of a proactive setup heal than a reactive one. As Primordial Wave is on a 30-second cooldown, you can also cast it early to get the ability on cooldown so that it comes up quicker for the next incoming damage event. This part is very important and considered one of the tricks of the trade for people who are good at Restoration Shaman. We have a talent called Undulation that increases the healing of every third healing surge or healing wave by 50%. In order to get this buff to apply to all the Healing Wave cleaves that are caused by Primordial Wave, you must cast Healing Wave while the Undulation counter is at 1, as shown on my screen right next to my unit frames. The weak aura to track Undulation was created by SpectraShock and can be found in the Restoration Shaman Discord, which I have linked in the video description. Utilizing this interaction will drastically improve your healing effectiveness and will allow you to more efficiently heal up groups without expending too much mana on more expensive AoE heals like Chain Heal. And finally, let's talk about Healing Stream Totem and Cloudburst Totem. You will have to choose one of these options, and both of them are extremely different. Healing Stream Totem is the easier one of the two to use, as it is a set and forget ability that automatically heals random injured allies over time. Cloudburst Totem, on the other hand, has a much more complex design. Dropping Cloudburst Totem will allow it to collect healing over time via your standard healing spells like Riptide, Healing Rain, Chain Heal, Healing Wave, and more. Keep in mind that it also collects the healing done by Primordial Wave cleaves, making the Undulation trick that much more effective when Cloudburst Totem is down. When the totem expires or is recalled, it will do a burst of healing based on how much healing was collected over the span of time it was down. It will split this burst of healing over all injured nearby allies, meaning it is a diverse ability that can do both single target and group healing depending on how many players are injured when the burst of healing happens. Learning how to use Cloudburst Totem effectively is what will allow you to dominate difficult bosses on higher Mythic Plus keys, as well as steamroll through tough trash packs with no one dying. There are weak auras out there as well that you can utilize to track the amount of healing stored in your Cloudburst Totem, a great tool for newer shamans who find it hard to gauge how much healing has been collected. And those are the basics of our kit. If you can use all of the abilities mentioned in this guide, especially focusing on the synergies between them, you are well on your way to becoming a great Restoration Shaman. The only thing left is to learn the major cooldowns, which will be the subject of my next video, part 3 of the 101 guide. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there are any questions or feedback that you have in the comments. Happy healing and good luck!